Good afternoon, I'm Karen Hershey, and welcome to our live webcast with the world-renowned eye surgeon and LASIK specialist, Dr. Arun Gulani. Dr. Gulani, thank you so much for being here. And one thing that's really interesting for people to notice or to note is that you have founded the Gulani Vision Institute right here in Jacksonville. You've authored a number of textbooks about LASIK eye surgery. You teach the procedure to LASIK surgeons, and you have patients that fly in all over the world to get their LASIK eye surgery done right here in Jacksonville.
It's a privilege, Karen. It's a passion for me to make people see, and LASIK is one of those surgeries that gives you such gratification to make people see, and without glasses and contacts, give them the visual freedom to lead their lives. So it's been a great journey. Yeah.
And a lot of people have questions about LASIK eye surgery, and that's why we have you here, is to kind of separate what is fact and what is fiction about LASIK eye surgery. So thank you so much for being here. And I think also, you just got back from Germany, from the World Congress of Eye Surgeons. You taught there. Tell us a little bit about what you saw and what's new, what's coming up in LASIK eye surgery.
Well, it's very exciting, Karen, what's coming up. As you know, we ourselves are involved in a lot of innovations, and we are already performing cutting-edge laser vision surgery where we don't even use blades, or we hardly even cut the flaps anymore. We just do it with the laser, with a no-cut technique. So it's very amenable even to patients who were previously considered as not candidates. Some of the things we did there, the privilege I had of was testing technologies that is years ahead of time, but gives us a good view into the crystal ball, if you may. Actually, I brought some of those videos home, and I'm happy to share that with our audience today. I have it here on my laptop.
And how long were you over there?
I was there for about 10 days,
okay,
because one was a meeting, then also some doctors arranged for me to see patients and stuff, so it takes a few days and then a few days to have fun.
Okay, and tell us what we're going to be seeing here on the screen.
What we're seeing here on the screen now is, as we all know, LASIK surgery is done by cutting a flap into the cornea, which is the front part of your eye, and then lasering the remaining cornea so you change the shape. Now, when you do that, you are cutting a flap. But this new technique, which is going to be coming up very soon, actually the same laser that cuts the flap cuts the shape into the cornea, so you have literally no flap that you have to lift. This technique is known as the flex technique. As of today, the names will still undergo some evolution, but I had the pleasure of evaluating that technology, and I'm here to share that video with you. You'll see how the laser cuts the whole system, shapes it up for you, and it's being done completely by the laser. So here we go.
And what are some of the benefits of what people are going to be seeing here without having to use a laser to actually cut the cornea?
As you can see in this video, the laser has actually already started cutting the shape into the cornea, and the shape is what corrects your spectacle error, by the way. You can see those particle appearance that you have. That's the laser on the cornea. Now this next cut that's going on is actually the cut of the flap, if you may. So this is completely with the laser. Both the steps are happening on the eye, and the whole shaping process has occurred, and you're pretty much done at this point.
So it takes a matter of minutes, seconds?
Minutes.
Okay,
minutes. With the precision of the laser, with literally no pain, and that's going to be the future.
Okay. And so when you talk about it, just minutes for a surgery, what is the pain level? Because that is what can scare some people.
Sure, Karen. Most of these laser vision techniques do not have that much pain associated with it during the surgery. The concept being your cornea is numb with numbing drops, and we are operating on the cornea, and by doing that, you're basically working on a tissue at this point that sensations are pretty much lowered to non-existent at that thing. Surgery by itself is not painful because it's involving the laser, but depending on the different techniques, there could be some level of healing patterns in patients, mostly painless.
Okay. Now we hear about LASIK eye surgery on the TV, on the radio. You see billboards for it. How do you differ or stand apart from other LASIK eye surgeons that are out there? You have invented a number of tools that are used in LASIK eye surgery, but what would you say makes you truly stand apart from everyone else?
I'd say most of the surgeons do a great job with LASIK, and the results are outstanding. It's there to be seen. That's why it's one of the most popular surgeries in medicine. But I think what sets me apart, I would say, is one is the passion to make sure that the surgery is not cookie cutter, in that there are so many kinds of laser vision surgeries. LASIK is just one among them. And then these are part of vision corrective surgery. So if you look at the whole thing, suddenly you feel, wow, there's so many possibilities. Now, when you think of it that way and you're trained in that aspect, you take every patient and design the surgery to individualize their visual outcomes. And that to me is tremendous, and the feedbacks we get from our patients are what makes them fly to me, despite so many excellent surgeons in the country, is I think this very fact that you're designing it for each eye individually. Now, think about the logic over here. If you're not doing cookie cutter on everybody, obviously your chances of success is higher. If you're designing it for each person, your complication rate is lower, and you're kind of planning for their best vision, given their anatomy, their lifestyle, and their whole visual situation. Excuse me.
Now, obviously, the reason why people do LASIK eye surgery is because they want to see better. They want that 20/20 vision. Can you guarantee that with everyone, and could you even guarantee something better than 20/20?
The first part of the question, I don't think any surgeon should or can guarantee vision, though I believe in the second part, every surgeon should aim for perfection. So, to answer the second part of your question, I don't believe 20/20 is perfection. I've been striving for better than 20/20 vision for the past 5 years, and that's been my main focus. In fact, on our previous webinar, if you recollect, we had actually brought in some patients too whose vision is 2010, 2015, which is 1 and 2 lines better than 20/20. So the fact is there that 20/20 vision can be surpassed to what is supervision, which is 2015, 2010, and these patients do have a severe advantage in vision. So I do believe every surgeon should aspire to aim for better than 20/20 vision, and I believe in the very near future that's going to be standard of care. In fact, at the recent meeting I announced 2010 vision should be the goal starting in the year 2010.
Wow, that's amazing, because I have been wearing glasses and contacts for a very, very long time. I cannot see without my glasses. I'm blind. I mean, I couldn't pick out my husband's face. I wouldn't be able to see the clock. I wouldn't be able to see anything, and I have astigmatism. So I would love to get rid of the glasses and my contacts, but I've always been told, oh, you have to wait. You know, you need to be careful. You can't necessarily get LASIK eye surgery because you have that the astigmatism. Can that be corrected?
Yes, Karen, and again we go back to our main point. Due diligence is obviously important. This is an elective surgery. It's not a necessity in so many cases, right? In many cases it is, who are very highly nearsighted, farsighted. But in most cases, since it's an elective surgery, due diligence is important. It's important to your research. Don't just call some number or fall for a deal. These are vital points. Coming back to astigmatism, I have an eye model here that we'll look at where you can actually see what all these things mean. You see, LASIK is nothing more than reshaping the front of your eye, which is the cornea. So the cornea here is what needs to be reshaped, and the shape of this cornea decides your final vision. So when this cornea, Karen, is football shaped as opposed to a basketball, you have astigmatism.
That would mean then.
Right. So now there are techniques to correct that. So then we come back to my point that yes, routine LASIK for everybody, that's why I defer, is it has to be designed. Like Karen, if you have astigmatism, looking at the anatomy of your eye, doing some advanced technology testing that we have, like the Penacam evaluations, you come to a conclusion, okay, let me do it in this fashion where I use the laser in this pattern and we can correct you. The answer is yes.
Okay, so who would be a prime candidate for LASIK?
Anybody who's at least over 19 years of age, more importantly, has stability in their vision, meaning you can take records of the last 2 years and make sure that they have not changed, and the anatomy and there's no pathology in the eye, is a great candidate for laser vision surgery, even though there is no upper limit, as I keep saying. On this morning show right here in Channel 4, we brought a patient who was 90 years plus, and he's 20/20 playing golf, who I did LASIK on. My point, there is no upper limit as long as your eyes are healthy and they have the potential to see that good.
Now, some people are told that they're not necessarily a candidate for LASIK. So who falls into that category, and what other options then would they even have?
Right. So in any elective surgery, when you're operating on any organ, you want to first make sure that the organ is normal. So when you think about it that way, the organ we just discussed was the cornea. So as long as your cornea is healthy, given that the rest of your eye, if you think of it as a camera, if the film in the eye, in the camera and the lens of the camera is perfect, now you're focusing on the viewfinder. So you reshape this with the laser. The laser, Karen, is nothing more than a very elegant, accurate, painless knife that cuts at about 120 millijoules per centimeter square. It basically evaporates your tissue by breaking the intermolecular bonds. That's it. 193 nanometers is the laser wavelength. So when you think of the laser as a sculpting tool, just to give you a visual example or to the viewers, when I say accuracy and when I say the finesse of this laser, imagine this. A single strand of your hair, the laser can make etching into a single strand of your hair to the levels of 1/4 of a micron at every pulse. Now you know what I'm talking about. A laser that can etch a portrait in a single strand of your hair. So that's the precision in microns. That's why it's important to be precise in what you're doing electing the right surgery. And in those cases, most candidates are actually candidates, but if the doctors do only one or two techniques, then the patient's not a candidate. The real answer is, okay, let's say you have thin cornea. These are most commonly told you're not a candidate. Well, you can do a surface procedure without cutting the cornea with laser. Patient like you, high astigmatism, like you said, there's another procedure with the laser you do, not necessarily basic LASIK. So you can advance the LASIK technologies. We have a patient here today who, besides having the distance vision issue, also had the after 40 reading glasses issue. Ooh. And he's right here. We can chat with him.
It's Mr. Mike Sharp. Come over here and join us. He's, again, one of your patients. And one thing about Mike that you guys need to know is that he is an air traffic controller. So he is someone that we all want to have really, really good vision. And that was obviously, Mike, one thing that you desperately needed. Is that why you found Dr. Gulani? Or tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, for years I wanted to have corrective vision surgery, but I was afraid to because of my job. That I was concerned that it might, as a controller, you have to have really good vision. And so it really worried me to have anyone work on my eyes for any reason. And so as I looked for surgeons to do the work, and I tried several because I'm just that way about it, and I saw Dr. Gulani, and the question that I asked, I said, what if something goes wrong? And he said, that's the question you should ask every eye surgeon. If I'm the one person that in there's thousands that maybe something didn't go exactly right, can you fix it? And he said, yes, I can fix it. And I found out that that's true as I've talked to other surgeons. I have a business on the side, a sunglass vision business, and so I deal with LASIK surgeons occasionally, and I ask them who they send their tough cases to, and it's Dr. Gulani.
Were you a tough case?
Because my case is, I couldn't see close up and I couldn't see far away, so I had both problems going on. I couldn't see the clock beside the bed, and I couldn't see the speed limit sign down the road, and so I guess my case was a little more difficult than some, and really now I can see really, really well both ways. I can see fine print, I can see down the road. I'm very, very happy with what's going on.
Dr. Gulani, tell me a little bit, why was he a good candidate for LASIK?
Yes. Like I said, everybody is a candidate for a particular surgery as long as that is the correct surgery for them. So for him, actually, we did a surgery beyond LASIK. Again, LASIK, remember, Karen, is just one among over 20 laser vision techniques. So let's just call it laser vision technique, right? Now, I heard while you were interviewing Mike right now about him being complex. The word I like to use is unique. There's nobody who's complex, right? Unique, because everybody is so unique. You want to make sure you design it to them. That's my whole thing. What I teach, what I say in my exam rooms to my patient, you are unique. This is your situation. Here is the one among 40 surgeries that I want for you. And here are my rationales why I want it for you. So, with Mike being many patients, if you know, are told that because you're after 40, you need reading glasses, well, you're not a good candidate for LASIK. Wrong. You can still design it in such a way that there are so many modalities to correct them. And Mike's a perfect example where the more important thing here was that if he would not get that perfect vision, he could literally lose his job. So in his case, the aspiration again of the doctor has to be what I said before, always aim for better than 20/20 and still give him what he wants, his distance and near both 20/20. That's where he is today. So the pleasure of all this is you designed it for him, it works, and then the patient gives you a feedback and says, yes, it works and his life is okay. And yes, both of us are flying based on what he does.
And you said that you shopped around. I mean, you didn't just go to one surgeon. I mean, you definitely took your research.
Right, and I'd like to say about Dr. Gulani is although he travels worldwide and teaches, after I had my surgery, he called to check on me personally several times just to make sure that everything went well, and I really appreciate that in a surgeon.
Tell me a little bit about the procedure for you. How long was it from the time that you walked into his office to the time that you left, and did you feel any pain?
As I came in, you just wait a few moments for the surgery. You go into the operating room. It's very quick, much quicker than I thought. I had no idea it would be just those few seconds of the on each eye. Immediately, there was no pain. As we left, I walked out into the hallway. I checked my vision. It had improved like that. It was amazing.
You're kidding. So immediately you noticed
I could
the
read.
difference.
I could throw away my glasses. I couldn't. With my glasses on, I couldn't read. after
Did you
that.
do one of those little eye charts? Because I can't read them at all.
We did, and it was amazing. And as time went on, my vision, as it stabilized, improved even more, and now it is better than 2015 or 2020 in reading. So
What is your vision?
The last time we went, it was 2015 in the close.
So obviously for your job, that's a good thing.
Oh, sure.
Have you talked to other air traffic controllers about your experience? I mean, are there people that you know of looking for these types of things as well?
Sure, I recommend. In fact, I've had at least 2 or 3 of my colleagues go to Dr. Gulani to have their surgery done also.
What do you feel is the most important thing that for consumers, because that's what we are when we're shopping around for a doctor, after your experience, what do you think are the most important questions that people need to be asking, or what kind of information or research should they be looking at when they're choosing who is going to perform that surgery on them?
For me, it was the crucial question of, okay, if things don't go perfectly, what happens? And the answer from Dr. Gulani is, I can fix anything, and I believe him. And seeing other doctors later on in my other business and asking the question, who do you send your tough cases to? And the answer is always the same. It's Dr. Gulani.
That's great. And you haven't had any problems. Sometimes you hear about people who have LASIK and then they have to go back for some sort of correction. My sister, for example, she can't see at night, so she does have to wear glasses. She gets that halo effect at night or something. What are they called, refractive, or whatever the next step is when they come in and fix something. Have you had any of those problems?
During the first few weeks, as your eyes healed, and you do sometimes get some of that halo, and Dr. Gulani tells you all that's normal, that's going to happen, and as your eyes heal and stabilize, that all goes away. So no, I don't have any of those issues now.
So you would never look back. I mean, this was the right choice for you.
I tell people all the time, in my sunglass store, I tell them that for the first time in my life, I can wear regular sunglasses. We have 1,000 pair of sunglasses in there, and I can choose what I want to wear now instead of having to go and buy prescription lenses, and it's really nice.
And it was only a few weeks for the healing process, so you're pretty much done. Everything's
I'm
good.
done. Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And Dr. Gulani, another question I have is, when you talk about complications or things that can arise, what kind of things can happen and how do you fix things?
So 3 levels of that, Karen. Again, don't forget I'm a teacher, so I keep breaking into classifications. And that's very important for viewers because I don't like anybody throwing out generic answers. So when you talk complications, here are the 3 levels. 1, was the surgery the correct surgery for you? That is, I believe, as somebody who sees referrals and second opinions from all over the world, that is the most common reason that people have an improper outcome. So was the correct surgery chosen for you? How do you select that? As Mike just mentioned, is make sure you meet your surgeon on your first visit. You don't just get seen by a screener. You meet the surgeon, ask him the question, is this the best procedure for me? And then ask why. Among all these techniques out there, doctor, these are my eyes. I want to know what is the best for me. I want the safest and the best procedure. 1. Second reason, Karen, is this. During the surgery, you can have a complication for whatever reason. Now, the technique that we've been doing, the complications, majority of them are not even existent anymore because we're not even cutting the flap. Over 90% of complications of basic LASIK is with cutting the flap. Number 3 is, after surgery, a patient may not be corrected to the 0 line, 20/20. They might be undercorrected, overcorrected, or have an abnormality. Now, that again happens when you're not measured accurately in most of the cases. If you're measured accurately, you don't need another surgery. So the procedure that you were mentioning is something that's called tune-ups, touch-ups, refining, or redoing the surgery a few years later. Natural causes can make that happen, where you may need the laser surgery again. Most commonly, if it's done the right technique, the right way, you don't need to.
Do you see a lot of patients that come in that have had the LASIK eye surgery, but there's something wrong? Either the surgeon made a mistake or there's some other situation that popped up that created problems for them. Did you deal with a lot of those people?
Yes, we do. And that teaches me so much to give to the patients when they come and meet us, that I want them to ask these questions repeatedly so they are always comfortable. And actually, our next few webinars will be on these concepts of, if your LASIK went bad, how to correct it, or if you didn't have a good outcome, what's your options. So we'll be talking about that in the next few webcasts next month.
So it's important, though, that people know that it can be corrected. It's not
Most
like
of the
you've
cases,
been given
yes.
a sentence of, I'm not going to be able to see, or something terribly happened and there's nothing that can be done.
Again, the logic being, Karen, think of the camera. Your viewfinder has been damaged at the most, right? The other important thing I tell patients all the time is make sure your LASIK surgeon is comfortable with corneal surgery. Why is that? Because the organ you're operating on is the cornea, right? Remember, we just said that to everybody. It's the cornea that's being worked on with the laser. As long as your surgeon is comfortable working on the cornea, most of the complications can be corrected. And then what I teach in courses is deal with it like a camera. What's wrong? Why is the patient presenting with this? What are the symptoms? And work backwards. And you can correct most of the complication as long as it's not an irreversible pathology.
And using that model, again, to explain to people when they're doing this LASIK, you're no longer, like you said, cutting the flap, because that always scared me from the beginning, is knowing that someone's going to be cutting. You're not doing that anymore. The actual laser is changing.
Sculpting it.
Okay, it's
Yes.
sculpting it. Okay. And it only takes a couple of minutes basically.
Yes.
How about the price? Because this is, you know, a tough economy. A lot of people may think, well, it might be cheaper if I just keep buying my glasses and my contacts and I keep going to see my eye doctor. What would you say?
So scientific answer again, two levels of this answer. Number one, studies have proven that glasses or contacts over a lifetime cost much more than laser vision surgery one time. More importantly, because again I keep saying, it's not just one LASIK, there are so many techniques. Make sure a surgeon sees you first, decides the technique, and that decides the cost of the surgery. Most cases insurances doesn't cover this, but it is an elective procedure at that point.
But it is important. I mean, like you said, these studies show that you could actually be saving money, possibly in the end, by having it done through.
Yes. There's so many levels, Karen. It's lifestyle. If somebody is more nearsighted than, let's say, 3 diopters or more farsighted than 3, their lifestyle is affected. They wake up in the morning, the whole world is a blur. You know, for them to even get started, they need their glass. They can't see their kids jumping on the bed with them because they can't see. So to them, it's important. Number two important thing here is when you're doing the surgery or proposing it to a patient is, are you looking at all their safety factors? All those things, when you look at it, becomes a life-changing decision. Money is very important, but that I still believe should be second to the first decision, which is, what is the best procedure for me, doctor? And then talk about the money. I mean, the worst complications I've seen is people who went for deals or call right now this number and some ads that are misleading. It's very important that when you go, you show up, you meet the surgeon. And when you meet the surgeon, ask questions. What is the problem with my eyes? How can it be corrected, doctor? What do you think are my best outcomes here? Is this the best procedure? Should I wait for some technology to come out? Once you ask those questions, it empowers the patients. And they're not scared anymore because they feel they're part of the decision-making process.
Another interesting thing that you do at the Gulani Vision Institute is, when I was there visiting with you, you actually had a patient who had had a similar situation to another patient who hadn't had a procedure yet you had them in a room talking with you so that this other patient, you know, that hadn't had the procedure yet could be a little bit more comfortable knowing that someone else has gone through this, and he was able to ask her a bunch of questions.
Right. Karen, I believe in educating my patients a lot. I mean, I spend close to an hour when they come and sit down with me. My point is this. I think of them as family, and I think, okay, if this was my family, what do I want for them? And I make sure I have explained it, so then some questions sometimes they're afraid of asking, you've answered it, most of the time. The other thing in our institute happens, which is my pride, is by the time my patients go for surgery, they know so much about the procedures that they feel like professors. They feel like, okay, oh, I saw this guy sitting next to me, doc, can I speak to him? I'm like, okay, you know, do it in a friendly fashion. Okay, y'all can talk. Like Mike coming in today, I'm indebted to my patients. All these patients have paid for their surgery. There's no reason for them to come out and share their experience. But it's a pleasure and a pride, Karen, that they are now taking it on themselves to share this power of knowledge to other patients. Because I believe the complication rate will be non-existent if patients are educated enough to select the right procedure and the doctor-patient relation goes in that, even in this elective surgery.
Now, once you have the surgery, the follow-up, I mean, I know that you meet, you talk, and make sure. How many times does someone come in to just make sure that their eyes are fine?
Healing well. Depending on the technique, but most usually, next day post-op for sure. A week later, then 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. That's important according to me. Also remember, I do a lot of testings for patients and stuff, and that's important. That's all included in their cost for the whole year. But I do it because also as a teacher, I'm keeping the data to make sure when I teach other LASIK surgeons all over the world, I'm giving them honest information of how, yes, these new things work and these advanced ways of doing LASIK works.
One question I have is, you know, let's say I have LASIK done. 10, 15 years down the road, you know, as do your eyes continue to change, that something could pop up, you know, I'll need those after 40 glasses or something. I mean,
Sure.
Does something pop up later on that then people do need to go in and get checked out again? Or is it a one-time fix-all, never going to have another issue?
Right. So think of LASIK as, if you're wearing glasses or contacts, Karen, now just let's backtrack to your question. If you wear glasses and contacts, your normal age-related changes of the eye still continue.
Okay.
Same with LASIK. So you still are a nearsighted person, still an astigmat, still need to make sure your retina is okay. If you're a diabetic, make sure that's fine. Also, age-related changes are continuing. After 40 glasses, you can do a laser procedure for that at 40. Patients hit 60, 65, now they need cataract surgery. We'll be talking about that in our next webinar, next webcast next month. So cataract surgery, you put in a special lens that they can see distance and near. So the same surgeon, I think, should be completely comprehensive in the ability to correct the vision. Think of the camera again. He should know what to do with the viewfinder and the lens so he can constantly make sure you're 20/20 for the rest of your life.
Well, that's always a good thing. Now, let's say you're not a candidate for LASIK. Let's say it just turns out that for whatever reason, your situation, it's not going to work for you. Are there other options out there for people?
Many options. Again, as long as they don't have an irreversible disease, like let's say brain disease or optic nerve disease, which is irreversible, I still believe if they have better vision with their glasses, they have an absolute right to ask for that vision with laser vision. Let's say someone's absolutely not a LASIK candidate, you can do a permanent contact lens inside their eye. It takes minutes. Put in a contact lens permanently, tuck it into your eye, you are done. You don't feel it, you're done. Similarly, there are surgeries, we put rings into the cornea. Limitless, I call it. When I teach other surgeons, I say, if you combine all your modalities, it's limitless what you can do.
And that's all stuff that we'll be talking about in upcoming future webcasts
Yes.
that we have going on. Kind of to wrap things up a little bit, tell me a little bit about what you see in the crystal ball or in the future for LASIK eye surgery.
I live in the crystal ball. That's why I'm always excited. LASIK, laser vision surgery and stuff, I always look at it this way. All of these things at some point are preventable. We still don't know where it starts, where in the genes it starts. So I believe there will come a time where we will be doing all this way before the kids get into school and stuff, correcting them in some form so they don't progress to a situation of glasses and contacts. I even make this anecdote all the time. I say with my colleagues, I say, even as much as 20 years from now, people will walk into a museum with glasses and their kids, grandkids will go, what is that, grandpa? And they'll say, you won't believe it. People would, make up their face all day and then they would go out putting these plastic things on their noses. So it will be a thing of the past, has to. And I believe the future is going to be where we can prevent people from even getting into glasses and contacts.
Is there anything that parents can do for their kids now? Like when I think back, I think it was 8th grade that I started having to get those glasses. But is there anything that parents can do ahead of time to maybe help their child, or is it just kind of we have to wait until that crystal ball thing happens?
And two is still the basic hygiene things like we know, it's not too much TV, too much close computer work, all that kind of thing. And that works both ways. You tell them you'll get glasses, they stop watching TV.
Anything else that would be important to mention about LASIK eye surgery, or a final point that you really want people to remember?
I'm absolutely open to any questions you'll have. You can call us or email me on our website gulanivision.com. But I still feel the biggest lesson I want you to take home from today is how LASIK is not a cookie cutter surgery. There's actually many kinds of LASIK, which is part of many vision corrective surgeries. Make sure your doctor and you are selecting the right thing for you. And second is sit down and find out and do your research. Don't jump into it. You can wait, believe me. There is no deal that's so great that it results in blindness. It's not a bargain at that point.
And people can, like I said, contact you. They can call you directly. And that number you can call is 1-888-LASIK-16, or the local number is 904-296-7393. You can email questions to gulanivision.com or right here at Ask Dr. Gulani at WJXT. And on our live webcast, we're going to be answering those questions. And if we don't get to it necessarily in our webcast, you will be letting people have those answers. You're not going to just, let it go to the wayside. You're out here to help people and to, again, separate the fact and the fiction of what is LASIK eye surgery and who's supposed to be having this.
It's a commitment, Karen. Absolutely.
And our next webcast is going to be, I believe, August 19th, again here at 12:30 live here at WJXT. And one of our big things that we are going to be kind of talking about are cataracts. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a little brief synopsis in terms of why do we want to talk about cataracts? Who is this affecting?
Well, cataracts is the age group where you don't want to do LASIK because your lens in the eye is becoming cloudy. That's why it's called a cataract. And cataract is the most commonly done procedure in that age group. Nowadays, you don't just remove the cataract and put a lens. You have a choice of lens technologies that you can make them see distance and near and no glasses and live their life forever. I mean, that's the great thing. We'll be discussing the different concepts, the advancements in cataract, how cataract surgery is no longer cataract surgery. It's, okay, how do you want to see after this surgery? What's your lifestyle? And that's where, plus the new thing, or at least we've been doing this for quite some time, you can combine LASIK on cataract. For example, you remove someone's cataract, they're 70 years old, let's say, right? Put a special lens inside, they see distance and near, and they had astigmatism. You do laser on top of it 1 month later. You're done.
Well, this is all going to be great information. I appreciate you being here. This is all the time we have for today. But again, check back with us again here live at WJXT and send in those questions to Ask Dr. Gulani at WJXT. Thank you so much and have a good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for being
Thank you, Karen.
here.
It's been a pleasure.